only clicked on this video if you had one of two needs. Either you would like to give the PlayStation 5 a crack open to give it a teardown and a quick clean because it has sat on this shelf for over a few years, or I unfortunately was your last resort for a little bit of entertainment. In that case, check out some of my other content, and I hope I can impress you just a little bit enough to hit that red subscribe button. But I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's look at how to clean the PS5. Hello, welcome back to Sapajou Productions. I'm the host, Christian van der Westhuizen, and I already asked you to subscribe, so I'm not going to waste time any longer. Let's look at cleaning the PS5. Let's look at the materials you will need for the project: a brush, as well as pliers, screwdriver set ranging from Torx to Phillips, a soft cloth so that you won't scratch glossy surfaces, a pump with a nozzle, as well as a vacuum with a small tip so that you can get into the nooks and crannies, and alcohol swabs to clean some imperfections on the plastic. You're eager for the disassembly, so grab the plate, support it with your hand and move it upwards and backwards from the PlayStation logo. Come back to remove those stylish vents. Just remember that they are hooked in at the tips on 2 points on the PlayStation, so grab with 2 hands to support the bracket and remove carefully. Repeat the same removing process with the second plate. Brace with your bottom hand at the CD reader and pull upwards and towards the CD reader with your other hand. Repeat the same process again for the same style air vent on the PS5, covering your fan as well as SSD cover. This is optional, but if you have an SSD installed, return to your PS5 to open with a Phillips head screwdriver to clean out any SSD you have installed on your own. Now I remember the first time I struggled with this. Using the Torx screwdrivers, there will be 2 screws able to open with a standard set of Torx screwdrivers. The other will need a proprietary Torx screwdriver from factories, which is why actually this vent shouldn't be opened, but just grab a pair of pliers and twist them, lefty loosey lighty tighty to open them with a pair of pliers. It is softer metal, so don't work too hard to break any of the metal potentially. Work with own concern and on your own risk. You will now have the great pleasure and honor to remove the metal plate covering your probably guaranteed dusty fan. Now you can wiggle the fan out there, still keeping in mind that it is plugged in, but this is optional, but I decided to unplug the fan from the PS5 so that I don't run the risk of damaging any of the connectors or twisting any of the cables. So very carefully using a pair of pliers to remove the connector and then sliding out the fan for further cleaning. You see, this is the great thing about cleaning a PS5. No, not seeing your equipment dirty, that's disgusting, but seeing the fan, the compressed air blowing out those dust particles out of the fan, always gives me a rush of adrenaline about cool stuff like this. Hopefully you're not a lazy person, so you don't have to stop at the compressed air. Take the brush you've brought with of some of your equipment and try and get it into the nooks and crannies to pry out any of the harder dust particles. You can also take a cloth to wipe it down. Also attend to the bottom of the top, or rather the top of the fan, to blow out any dust particles covering the circuits. Now plug in the vacuum and attend to the places that you do not want to blow any air in, so that it might cover any of the circuits inside of the PS5, which is why I'm using the vacuum to suck in all the dust particles inside of the PS5. Okay, you might know this already, but just blowing or sucking is not going to be the whole story. You will need to attend to the PS5 with a soft cloth to remove any harder dust particles or pieces of dirt and grime that was still stuck on your PS5, and give that fingerprint magnet city of the face of the PS5 a nice wipe down to make it more presentable. Now, attend to the heatsink, and this is really important. Make sure to blow outwards of the PS5 with the heatsink, facing those outwards facing fans, so that you don't cover any of the internal circuitry of the PS5 with dust and grime. Now, this is obviously also optional, but also attend to the backwards facing vents for any grime that has accumulated over the years, depending obviously on how long your PS5 has been standing around accumulating dust. Now you can attend to those aesthetic vent covers, because it is one of the main features people see when they look at your PS5. Give them a really good clean, as they are really noticeable on a dirty PS5. Come back to the PS5 covers and attend to them with a soft cloth to wipe down any grime, or alternatively use the alcohol swabs for any dirtier or harder to clean imperfections. Now, reassembly is the best part in my opinion, because it's the most like playing with Legos. Start off with putting the fan back and removing or lifting up that adhesive plate to plug it back in. Obviously be very careful not to hurt any circuitry or cables to plug it back in. If you decide to leave the adhesive plate on, make sure to give it a good seal with your finger so that any dust might not accumulate on some of those exposed electronics. Come back to those aesthetic vent covers and make sure to plug both ends into their grommets at the sides of the PlayStation, and then click them in from outwards to the inside. For putting the plates back on the PS5, do not be afraid to use any force. The PS5 will not break if you obviously do it correctly. Move in the direction of the grommets to click it back in. I hope you didn't skip up to the reassembly, otherwise you would have missed the tip I gave you at the beginning. The fan cover is really tricky because some of the proprietary torque screws, so just use pliers, twist them from right to tight, and then use your torque screwdriver to use the non-proprietary screws. Now, if your mates were hoping for you to finish up, to jump online, you're officially finished with the teardown and cleaning guide of the PS5. After the cleaning, turning the PlayStation on. What a beautiful sound. Now, obviously, my method will work if you did it correctly. So I would like to put the disclaimer in the video, as with all. Please don't hold me responsible if you break any warranty guarantee or break your PlayStation beyond repair. This YouTube video, I'm not a professional. If you are a trained professional, why are you watching my videos? Yeah, I hope the PlayStation 5 works, and I hope you enjoy the video.